Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Varsity Aces Show. I'm sports writer Greg Mattura for NorthJersey.com and The Record. Tonight's topic will be a man who has spent 40 years teaching, coaching, overseeing high school sports in northern New Jersey. That's a photo of none other than Greg Butler. He coached Don Bosco to an undefeated mythical national championship in baseball. He's been an athletic director at Northern Valley at Demarest. He's also been a baseball coach at Northern Valley at Demarest, and he has been an assistant football coach for more than 20 years at Bergenfield, Demarest, and Nutley. Please welcome Greg Butler. Greg, how are you? And thank you so much for coming on.
No, my pleasure, Greg. My pleasure.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. You are in your final week, again, of a career that spans 40 years, starting out as a baseball coach at your alma mater. Let's get current. How has this month of September been, and your thoughts as you close in on the final days here of your tenure?
It's been a fun experience working with Mike. August was a typical August for me. You know, all the reconditioning equipment was coming back, and all the supplies that were ordered, just putting them away. And Mike was coming in, even though we didn't have to come in August. He's very conscientious. He wants to hit the ground running. So we were able to work a little bit in August, but that was normal. But September, I wanted to make sure that Mike was ready to go September 1, and he was. And so as I shared with you the other day, it's almost been like I've been a grandparent. I just deal with all the positive things. And then if it gets a little crazy, I gave the kids to Mike, and he took care of some of the drama and all the other craziness that athletic directors deal with on a daily basis. So it's been fun working with him.
Now, true professional as you are, I ask you a question, you go right into the nuts and bolts of the job and making sure that your replacement, Mike Apito, gets to make a smooth transition. How has the week and even the last couple of weeks been for you personally? I assume people have been not so mean to you the last few days, as they know that Thursday, September 30th is your final day. Could you talk about how it feels in here in your heart to be shutting it down here?
It's surreal. I think I may even come in on Monday. I just, we're creatures of habit. It's one of the things I'm going to have to adjust to. Just the structure of getting up, going to work, and doing your thing. But people tell me I will learn to enjoy that very quickly. Leaving is difficult, a place that I love very much, but knowing that we have an excellent athletic director come in that I am so proud of and confident in allows me to walk away. And knowing that the coaches, our student athletes, administration will all have a great Norseman on board. So it makes it easier knowing that the Norseman ship is in good hands.
Now, again, you've had a storied career. I'm not going to go in chronological order. I'm going to jump to the most, or what we at the paper considered the most exciting year of your career, which was the Don Bosco prep team in 2008 that went 33-0 and won the mythical national championship. There you are in photo, actually earlier in your career coaching your alma mater at Bergenfield. There you are at Bosco. Please talk about that year. You came in, you didn't have a lot of time to prepare. You brought in Frank Euphemia, your former schoolmate at Bergenfield, and a former major league pitcher. Talk about that experience.
Well, in 2000, I was promoted to the district phys ed supervisor. So I had to get out of coaching. And after a while, I really was missing it. I was hoping to come back to Northern Valley Demarest to coach, because I really felt that, at 3:30, my job was basically done and I could coach. When the Don Bosco situation opened up, I spoke to the superintendent at the time of the opening, and I reassured her that I would be able to do my job as a district phys ed supervisor, and that if I couldn't coach at Demarest, I would love, the opportunity to coach at Don Bosco. They were kind of looking for someone to steady the ship. So they brought a veteran guy in, and I was excited, not because it was just Don Bosco and they were loaded with talent, that was an extra bonus, but I just wanted to get back into coaching. When I did, I was able to bring back a good friend of mine, Frank Eufemi, to be the pitching coach, major league pitcher. And I was also able to bring on Louis DeChara. Louis was a teammate at Seton Hall University, phenomenal guy, just a great teacher of the game, just connected with the kids. So, we brought a good staff in, and it was great. I did my homework, try to learn the personalities, and they were all eager to put their egos aside and come together. They all, were competitors. They knew we're going to win more games than we lost. We all knew that, but they wanted to be champions. And it was really a magical year, and it will be never forgotten. People say it was the greatest team in New Jersey history. I leave that up to all the historians to have fun discussing that, but we're in the mix, that's for sure. We will always be in that discussion.
And you showed that you could take a very good team and make them a great team, but you've shown that you can take far less than that and do very well with it. So let's start out with your start at Bergenfield after coming out of Seton Hall University, playing ball there. Talk about what you learned playing for Mike Shepard as a player there at Seton Hall. There you are, and then what you carried over into your early years, your 4 seasons coaching Bergenfield baseball.
Well, Seton Hall was a tremendous experience. I think I really developed into becoming from a young man to a man. Coach Shepard demanded that. He was a Marine, a phenomenal baseball coach, really a second father to me. He brought out the best in me. Not being a physically big athlete, I had some ability, but I was no blue chip guy. I had to fight and claw to, get any success I had, and that was a typical Seton Hall Pirate, typical Coach Shepard guy. So, I walked on. I was called a recruited walk-on. I had a book scholarship. As my career, progressed, I got a little bit more. But, I knew when it was all said and done, I wasn't going to be drafted. I was a proud captain my senior year with Tim Byron, the legendary coach at Old Japan, over 500 wins, and just another big brother in my eyes. But, when I graduated Seton Hall, I wasn't going to be playing the game anymore, so I wanted to coach it. And a lot of his philosophy came with me. And that was, once again, hustle, teamwork, taking on every challenge, not being afraid of any challenge. And that was my mojo. Just we were going to take on any challenge and do it at 100%.
Now, we do want to add that while you weren't drafted, you weren't too bad of an athlete at Bergenfield High School. You won a sectional title as both a baseball player and as a football player, so that's pretty neat. After your tenure at Bergenfield, you moved on to Demarest in the late 80s, and you built them into a public school power. You won 3 county championships, 92, 94, 95. I was there for those, and a state title in 99. Could you talk about taking a program, building it up, and becoming a public school power that was able to go out and beat non-public schools like Don Bosco?
Well, once again, leaving Bergenfield was difficult. Whenever you get a chance to go back to your alma mater, that's a tremendous thing. But there was something back there in the 80s called riffing, reduction of staff. And that was a difficult thing. We had a very good, my last year at Bergenfield, we were the #1 seed in the county tournament. I was blessed, with some great talent. I was coach of the year, and I was riffed. So I was looking for a job, and Jerry Emerson in Northern Valley Demarest came to the rescue. And, I think having some success at Bergenfield and the Northern Valley Demarest players knew I had some success as a player myself. There was some credibility there. And once again, bringing that Coach Shepard mentality that, If anybody wanted to follow me, we were going to be the best team in Bergen County. That was my first meeting. I told them we were going to be the best team in Bergen County. If they were willing to work and believe in themselves, not just during the season, but in the off season, that's where we would go. And fortunately, we had some talent. We had some great coaches, Donnie Meritz, Norm Dermody, Ed Camp. I can go on and on. Jimmy Fasano, Brendan Flanagan. These were all guys that went on to be successful head coaches, and they were assistants. But it was an unbelievable run as a public school. And we brought that mentality that, the game of baseball is not like football and basketball. If you get some guys that can throw on a hill, you can compete. It's not like a 300-pound, you're up against a 300-pound lineman or a 6'5" guy, down on the basketball court. You catch the ball, you throw it to first, the ball is pitched, you hit it. And we were not afraid to take on anybody. And that was instilled in them. And it was a tremendous run because we had talented players.
Now, you're setting me up here with a good transition. You're talking about how it's not football, but you were actually an assistant football coach longer than you were a baseball coach. You were an assistant football coach for 21 years at Bergenfield, at Demarest, at Nutley, and you won 4 sectional football titles as an assistant football coach. So you must know a little bit something about football. If I'm not mistaken, you won 3 sectional football titles at Bergenfield, and you were an assistant coach on their last sectional title team, which I think was in 86 or 87. Talk about the mentality that you bring to football that maybe is a little bit different than baseball, or is it not different?
No, mental toughness is an asset in any sport. And, I love the game of football. I played for a tremendous coach, Bob Tagliari, was a special man, another important person in my life that molded a lot of things in my coaching philosophy. But we did bring that football mentality. I always believed in multi-sport kids. I played 3 sports. My football players came out and played baseball, and I loved it. When I was at Bergenfield, Ronnie Vallone, Jimmy Fasano, Tommy Fasano, George Gruby, all these guys were football players, but tremendous baseball players. And that mentality was carried over to baseball. I remember one time Damon Ponce de Leon, this was before St. Joe's game in the county tournament. Norm Dermody, the pitching coach, came down to me and said, I don't know if Damon can go today. He's throwing up. He feels sick. And I said, you tell Damon he's going on the pitching mound. And if he's got to throw up, I'll bring a bucket out onto the mound and he can throw up on the mound. That he was going out and pitch that day. And Damon knew that he was going to pitch that day. And he better get his mind right and go out and pitch. Ended up pitching a 3-hitter, and I guess he felt better after the game. But that's the mental toughness. If you enable that mindset, okay, Damon, you don't feel good, you sit down. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you got to suck it up and find a way. And Damon always did find a way. He was a tremendous baseball player. But
I remember him vividly. I want to say that he was on varsity as a freshman because to me it felt like he was in high school for 6 years, and because he started playing so early. And I know he was on at least 2 of your. Was he on at least 2 of the county championship teams, or was he just on the 95 team?
He was on the 95, but he played a role in the a lot of our success. And he was only one of 2 freshmen that ever played for me. It's more common now. I think athletes are just much more developed. They do more things in the off season and play a high brand of baseball that they're prepared for varsity as a freshman. How many kids? But back then it wasn't. But Jimmy Carroll, who led us to the 1999 state championship, was a freshman who played for me, and Damon Ponce de Leon.
Again, I still want to stay with football. Demarest, 11-0 season, 1992. I covered a couple of their games that year, a couple of your games that year. And that is the last Demarest team 29 years ago to win a sectional title. talk about knowing that you were part of their last sectional title team for football.
That was one of the proudest moments of my career. Once again, loving football, coming from Bergenfield, that we had great success when I was there as an athlete, and then coming back as a coach. I had the pleasure, once again, think about it, coming out of college, the first coach that I experienced was Chris Olson. And then I had Alex Tanami winning the other 2 state championships, 86, 87. And, when I came over to Demarest, the first year was my mentor, Jerry Emerson. He was the head football coach. He brought me on staff. If it wasn't for Jerry, I wouldn't have been at Demarest, him and Sully Mott. Then Jerry became the athletic director. And then we brought Rich Conti in. Now, Rich Conti is another blue-collar guy, mentally tough guy. And we had Fred McLean as the offensive coordinator, a legendary coach for Demarest. I was a defensive coordinator. And Richie just was a great leader. And, we brought out that blue-collar mentality that these kids loved. Demarest, a lot of these families are well off, and these kids have it pretty good. But, if you make the bed tough, they lie in it. And, we had a great dynamic of coaches and great athletes that were not afraid to be coached. And thank God their parents were also, a lot of them were from Hudson County. And even though they wanted better for their kids and they moved into Northern Valley, let us do our thing. And unfortunately, that world isn't like that now. Sometimes you got to tippy toe. But those kids stepped up, and we dominated. I mean, if you look at the scores, our offense under Freddie McLean, Alex Hayden was the quarterback. We had Dave Edmondson, Toph Lake, Steve Lee. They were just phenomenal offense. And me being a defensive coordinator, that was easy. We were up 25-30-0, and we just knew they were going to throw the ball. And I think we had over 30 interceptions that year. So it was a great year.
So you spent the last dozen years as an athletic director. Essentially, you've had to put down your headset and pick up as we joked, a fire extinguisher to put out all the little fires that so many athletic directors have to put out to resolve things, fix them, bringing in, what happens when an umpire is sick that day and you have to bring in another one. How has the experience of the last dozen years been for you, where you're not out on the field, you're in the office overseeing an entire athletic program?
Once again, I think most of us in Bergen County, our mentor, was Mickey Corcoran, and he was one of mine, but Jerry Emerson was my mentor. He was a phenomenal athletic director. I can get choked up just talking about him now, but anyway, he left a legacy of class and competing with class, and I wanted to carry that. Demarest is a great place to coach, great kids, great parents. The facilities are second to none. And I, once again, just had to keep the bar, where Jerry raised it. And if I could raise it a little bit more, hopefully I did. But I try to bring in the top coaches around. I just didn't want to fill positions. I knew I would have more headaches and more problems if I just had coaches that just there. I wanted high-level coaches that had the passion that I did as a coach and wanted their programs to be the best they could be. And I think that's the type of coaches we had there, and I was able to bring in after that too. And all I ever said to the athletes and the coaches, I want teams to look at us and say, we're going to be in a battle. Whether we won or lost the game against Demarest, they knew they had to prepare for us. And we've had great success. Our programs are just as good as anyone. And I think we're, over the years, became a well-respected athletic program. And many of our kids have moved on to some of the top colleges in the country, whether Notre Dame, Tennessee, University of Virginia. It's just a great place to coach. And I could not be prouder. It will continue under, Mike Capito.
Now, we've talked about, or I have anyway, wins and more wins. And 5 of the last 8 years, I think it is, Demarest has won an all-sports banner in the Big North Conference as its most successful team in its division. But a word that you have used often this month and in years past is relationships. I know how important that word is for you. Could you please talk about the importance of the relationships that you have built and maintained over the last 40 years?
Listen, it's a simple premise. My father always told me, just treat people the way you want to be treated. Being a coach, it's difficult to me to be a successful athletic director without, coaching. To have that mindset and perspective of what coaches need and what support they need is so important. I never forgot what it was like to be a coach. And I remember, driving Jerry Emerson nuts. I wanted to go to Florida. I wanted to take the team here. I wanted batting cages. I wanted a PA system. I wanted this. And he knew that I just wanted things for the betterment of the program. Those are the type of people that I hired. And I wanted to support them in that. And, as much as I loved my coaches and supported them, my student athletes were paramount. They were the most important things to me, just like I was when I was a coach. And, as much as I would always defend my coaches, if I thought they were doing something that wasn't fair or not in the best way, we would have a private conversation and get that corrected, because it's all about the kids. So, I think I treated my coaches with the utmost respect, understanding the challenge of their job. Being a father and a parent, I've always understood where a parent came from. I would listen to a parent, and they appreciated me listening. And then I think they were better when I sometimes didn't always tell them what they wanted to hear and what they needed to hear. And, we were able to get by with that too, because I was able to listen to them and respect where they came from as a parent. Every parent feels that the sun rises and suns with their children, like I do with my own. But sometimes you got to take a step back and understand that things are done for the betterment of the whole, not always for your individual child. And so I've always tried to be respectful in my relationships with everyone. Administrators, I know the challenge they have. I know the challenge the parents have, my coaches, and you try to make things work. You try to build bridges, not knock them down. And I attribute that to my father. Just treat simple premise. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Now, you joked at the beginning of the show that you'll probably go to Demarest on Monday. Do you have plans for Monday, October 4th? I mean, are you going to play musical chairs with Mike in the athletic director's office?
One of the things Mike has been, great about, he, out of respect for me, has allowed me to be there in the trenches with him and helping him. And, we were, but it's his time. And, I got to stop from getting into the car and going to school. I mean that. I just, it's going to be a muscle memory. But I think my wife has a honey-do list. So I'm going to have to find something real quick, because I'm not taking honey-do lists every day. I'll tell you that right now. And you know what? I know she needs me out of the house. It's one of the reasons why I think, second time around with my marriage to Wendy, she's busy and she's into her job, and I was busy into my job, and I better find something to do on Monday. I'll tell you that.
I know you said that down the road you could see yourself. You are moving down to Ocean County, Manchester. I know you said maybe you'll be a volunteer around there. I guess you'll have plenty of time to think about that, or at least a month or so. Maybe you already have something lined up. I don't know where do you see yourself in the spring? When you drive by a baseball field, are you going to have to pull over and run to the nearest field, no matter where you are?
No, it's ironic. I live right down the block now from Toms River North, where we won our 2 baseball championships. So the one in '99 with Demarest and the one in 2008 with Don Bosco, and that field has always been a special place. But a childhood buddy of mine that we played ball on the state sectional championship team for Bergenfield, Bob Jack, was my first pitching coach at Bergenfield before Norm Dermody. And then, he lived around the corner. He lives around the corner from me now. He's the Colts Neck pitching coach. They were state sectional champions last year. He's a phenomenal coach. He coached Anthony DeScalfani, who's with the Giants now. he wants me to be a part of the Colts next staff. And I said, that could be a possibility. Mike York is the head coach. He's also a good friend of mine and always supported me. And who knows? I could be at Colts neck. I don't know where I'm going to be, but I'll be involved. This is strange. I was driving around with my wife and I passed this facility and I said, wow, this looks pretty good, this place. And I find out it's Donovan Catholic's athletic facilities. So I said, this looks pretty nice. So, who knows what's going to happen? All I know is this, Greg, I just want my health. If God gives me my health, everything else will just, find its way. Things will fall into place.
Okay. All right. That about wraps it up. I want to thank a man who is one of the best coaches that I've ever covered since my arrival at the Record in 1989. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. It's been a pleasure covering all your different teams. Greg Butler, thank you so much for being a guest here in your final week at Demarest. I really appreciate it. And now we're going to move on to my teammate, Darren Cooper. We're going to transition over to football. He's going to be giving his picks for this weekend's game. So thank you so very much. And take it away, Darren.
Thank you so much, Greg. Hey, that's right. I'm going hat this week. I don't know if you know, but we're going to dabble in a little NFL picks this week. I think the Saints are playing the Giants. The Saints are 2-1. Giants are 0-3. It's my birthday. I might even be in the Superdome Sunday. You'll have to pay attention to Varsity Aces Twitter to find out. And I'm picking the Saints, of course, to beat the Giants. But we'll see. We'll have a lot of fun. But as you know, the day job is picking high school sports and high school football games. Ooh, I dropped my little my little sticky note. Tell me what games I'm picking this week. I only have 5 on the docket this week to pick. It's a big week, though. In week 5, we got 2 games, some serious ramifications. I'm going to start with an interesting one, Clifton at Passaic Tech. Now, this was a game that was supposed to lead off the season last year. Boy, it was supposed to be a big game, kind of a breakout party for Clifton or Passaic Tech. I had Passaic Tech ranked really high in the preseason last year. Didn't work out so well for the Bulldogs, and the game never got played because of COVID. Now, looking back, it's kind of surprising to realize that Passaic Tech has dominated this series for the last decade. They've won, I think it's 8 out of the last 9 meetings, a couple of shutouts in there. But Clifton's playing at a real high level right now. They've got the big game next week coming up against Northern Highlands. That's going to be a super showdown. So against Passaic Tech, I'm going with the Mustangs. Our next game, Ramsey at Ridgefield Park. Now, the job Chris Rapp has done with the Scarlets is just outstanding. I mean, Ridgefield Park was in dire straits last year thanks to COVID, and he's got the Scarlets playing hard. They are 3-1. They've always been physical, just haven't been able to have a lot of talent to get the job done and execute on offense. Meanwhile, Ramsey, the Rams are undefeated. They've kind of been up and down, though. I think they've played to the level of their competition. But on paper, and right now it's still on paper, you have to like what the Rams have, and they should beat Ridgefield Park. So my pick will be the Rams of Ramsey. Friday night, St. Peter's Prep at Don Bosco. When's the last time Don Bosco was 1-4? Waiting. It's been a long time. It's the year I graduated high school, 1992. It's hard because this is a backs against the wall game here for Don Bosco. They have played hard. They have a good defense. The offense just hasn't been able to put it together. And it used to be St. Peter's Prep always brought out the best in Don Bosco, but lately St. Peter's Prep has dominated this series. They have won the last 6 in a row. I think Don Bosco will play real hard. I think they will throw everything they can at St. Peter's Prep, but you just don't see it with the Ironmen right now. Aside from Ronnie Heath, they're limited offensively. So the pick has to be St. Peter's Prep. All right, one game with probably, I know it's only week 5, but this game probably will decide a playoff spot in the NJIC. It's Lyndhurst at Waldwick Midland Park. That's right. Our dear friend Rich Turro at Lyndhurst, our mic'd up superstar. What a great job he did with that piece. That was something else. We should roll that over and over again. Mr. Mike back in the studio. 2 teams undefeated. They look like the best 2 teams in the division. Waldwick Midland Park maybe played a little bit better competition. They bent their home. I just got to go with the Warriors a little bit. Kind of a hunch, really. I don't know too much about both teams, but just going to go with Waldwick Midland Park to win this one. All right, and then one of my favorite games every year. I wish I could be there Saturday, but I might be on a plane. Lodi at Garfield. It's the Battle of Outwater Lane. Throw out the records. I won't even tell you the records. Both teams haven't won a game yet. It doesn't matter. This is one of the best rivalries in North Jersey. It might be the best public school rivalry in North Jersey. Garfield has actually dominated the series as of late. I did the research since 1954. They've actually split the meetings, 22 each. It is hard. This is always a fun one. The crowd will be jacked. The kids will be amped up. Behave yourself, though, Lodi and Garfield. Behave yourself. Acquit yourself well. And we will see, I think, going to be Garfield. I think the Boilermakers will win this one. It will be a big-time performance. A good win for whoever gets it. So they shake hands and have a great performance. Anyway, that'll do it for me this weekend. You can check out all my picks coming up tomorrow on NorthJersey.com. And I'll throw it back to you. More of the Varsity Aces Show.
All right. Thanks very much, Darren. And thank you very much for joining us. For Darren Cooper, I'm Greg Mattura. This has been Varsity Aces Show. Have a good rest of the week.